At this time, we're going to turn the convention over to you, the commissioners, and to the officers and the officers to come of this convention. At this time, it's my honor to introduce Representative Ken Ivory of Utah, past convention president and temporary president under our rules. Representative Ken Ivory.
Good morning. 6 years ago, we talked about the winds of change were about to blow. And in 6 years, we've had a lot of change, and I think the winds have been maybe more like a hurricane. In 6 years, national debt has gone from 19 trillion to 33 trillion. That's on our children and our grandchildren. In 7 years. In 7 years, we've gone from a government that was functioning as it was to we now operate by administrative fiat and executive order, almost entirely. We had recently a 155-page opinion from a judge that announced that our government was shutting off the speech of the people. And the judge ended with a quote from Harry Truman: "Once a government is committed to the principle of silencing the voice of opposition, it has only one place to go, and that is down the path of increasingly repressive measures until it becomes a source of terror to all its citizens and creates a country where everyone lives in fear." In 7 years, we've seen opinions from courts that take away the rights of the people. And as was mentioned, that the power to deal with this lies entirely with the states. One of the ratifiers of the New York Convention, not remembered very frequently, but one of the ratifiers named Tench Coxe, he said, "The real source of sovereign power doesn't lie with the federal legislature, as many suppose. The real source of sovereignty lies with the legislatures, because they have the power of altering and amending the Constitution, and that is the real source of sovereignty. If 2/3 of the states call the convention and 3/4 ratify, it becomes part of the convention without any interference from Congress." He says that's the real source of sovereignty. But I'll take that one step further, because we have a boss. We were sent here by the people that are suffering from 33 trillion in debt, that are suffering from the fact that interest is now the single largest expense in the federal budget. The federal budget. They haven't had a budget since we've had iPads and iPhones. But it's the single largest expense in the federal operation, and it's growing exponentially with interest rates increasing. We have a boss that has sent us here, the sovereign people. This is the only nation in the history of the world that stands for the proposition that the people are sovereign. And so as we get to work, I want to help you memorize the Constitution right now in the next 30 seconds. You ready for this? Constitution can be boiled down to 4 simple words. If government, which government? We have a sovereign people that did not delegate all power to government. In fact, they delegated very few power to government. And the 9th Amendment tells us everything else is reserved to the people. If government, was that power delegated to any government at all? It's a critical question that we have to ask ourselves. The second question is, if it was among those very few powers that were delegated to government, which one? Was it delegated to a government far away, less accountable, less transparent? Or was it kept to a government close to home? More transparent, more accountable, where the people's voice really matters. They could show up at the doorstep. They could show up at the Capitol, and you've all seen it. People that show up right at the Capitol, and they can change the things that affect their life, their liberty, their property. That's how this system was meant to operate over a large extent of country. but we have a machine that's out of balance. Doesn't matter who drives the machine anymore. Doesn't matter if they drive the machine to the left or drive the machine to the right. The machine is blowing smoke. It's losing parts. It's time to put the machine in the repair shop and change the oil, tune it up, so we got another 245 years to go on this machine. George Washington made the statement, if in the opinion of the people, the distribution or modification of the constitutional powers are ever in any particular wrong, let it be changed by an amendment in the way the Constitution designates. But he said, let there be no change by usurpation. For though in one instant that may be the instrument of good, it is the customary weapon by which free governments are destroyed. We're right at that point. And so now it is absolutely the time that we rally to be leaders among leaders. And that's the opportunity we have over the next 2 days to work on this. As we get busy and as we get working on this, I want to take just a second. We need to thank Mark and Patty Meckler. Would you please join me in thanking them? I don't know that you can appreciate what a Herculean task it is to pull this type of an event together. Rita Peters, I don't think she sleeps. They talk about people that can walk and chew gum. I think she can type with both hands and understand what's happening. And all of the people that have taken part to put this together. This is a lot of work to put this together. And lastly, I want to thank you. I have 3.5 grandchildren now. When we met last time, I didn't have any. And I love them more than life. And to think that we're putting $33 trillion on them, that we just simply put the bill on them and we said constitutionally, economically, financially, that we're going to require them to pay for our mistakes. It's time for us to clean up what's happening, whatever the cost, whatever it may take. It's time for us to do this work. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor that we will now call this convention into order.
It can be done. It will be effective.
So I think there are people who've never even heard of it that are going to see this and be impressed, and I think that builds enthusiasm.
This is the defining moment and the last opportunity to get our republic right.
We need a solution as big as the problem.